Hey, today, guys, I'm gonna share with you 5 money lessons I learned from the pandemic. So you definitely want to stay tuned. Welcome to Black Wealthy and Wise podcast, the number one podcast for helping Black families escape financial slavery and create financial freedom so you can live your best life and leave a legacy for your family. I'm your host, Alex Jones, and today I want to talk a little bit about the pandemic, the once in a century pandemic, and how these money lessons going forward are really informing what I do with money and how I take care of my finances going forward. I love to hear from you what happened, if anything, to your finances. Hopefully not. And if so, what lessons you might have learned and how this pandemic has affected you going forward. So let's get started. The first lesson that I learned is the importance of savings. I know before the pandemic, you guys probably heard that phrase, YOLO, you only live once. Everybody's hanging out, everybody's balling. We're all on Instagram, we're having fun, we're partying, we're buying the Lambos and the Ferraris, the Rolls Royces, we're wearing Gucci belts, we're hanging out, and we're just having a really, really good time. And then, wham, the pandemic hits. So my new saying is YOLO is a no-go. You know, no longer can you live life on the financial edge. Saving, savings is absolutely critical if you want to be able to survive a pandemic or a job layoff or sickness or anything else that comes your way. You want to make sure you're in a great position to withstand anything that may happen to your household. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have your savings, your emergency savings set aside. From what I can tell, before the pandemic happened, the savings rate in America was probably around 5 or 6% on average, is what people were saving. Roughly about 56% of people live paycheck to paycheck. And so, what that tells us is we're not saving as much as we probably could and probably should. And what people have actually noticed though is as the government kind of helped out and they kind of put some stimulus in place to kind of make sure things didn't completely fall apart during this pandemic, we noticed that the savings rates did go up tremendously. So I think it went from about 5 or 6%, and it shot up to about 25 or 26%. So it definitely shows that people know the importance of saving. Um, it's either because we just grew kind of complacent, or um, or there might be some other things going on that affects our ability to save. But in any case, I said, hey, YOLO is a no-go. You have to be saving. Saving is critical. You absolutely want to make sure that you're saving your emergency fund. At a minimum, you want to have 3 to 6 months of bills, monthly bills set aside. So that way, if something happens and you're out of work for 3 months or 6 months, guess what? Your basics can be taken care of. And you don't have to worry or stress as much. You don't have to worry about the bank foreclosing on you, or you don't have to worry about being evicted and put out. So the first thing is you want to make sure that your emergency savings is intact. And then beyond that, obviously you want to be able to start savings for any other thing that you want that you're going to have in the near future. We call those sinking funds that you put money set aside for purchases that or expenses you're going to have in the future. And then beyond that, obviously, you want to make sure that you're saving for more long term goals. Maybe it's your kids' college, or you want to go ahead and start saving for retirement. I know a lot of people right now aren't where they want to be when it comes to retirement savings because a lot of their money went to helping, signing student loans and helping their children get uh, a leg up through helping them pay for their college or signing off on student loans and things of that nature. A lot of that sometimes have impacted people's abilities to be able to save. And in any case, you want to make sure that you're saving as much as you possibly can. At a minimum, you want to be saving at least 10% of your income. If you can do more, great. Usually people say, hey, if you can do 15 or 20%, that is really, really the sweet spot in terms of saving to make sure that you're able to take care of your current needs and you have money set aside for your future needs as well. So, savings is absolutely critical. That's the very first lesson that I learned from the pandemic. Second lesson I learned is having one stream of income is financial malpractice. Too many people are reliant on working for a company or working for a job and only have one stream of income. And the thing that I always say is during this pandemic, a lot of people realize, hey, I'm expendable. Companies started laying off people, started furloughing people, sending them home, having people take off work. Some people didn't get paid. So if you are dependent on your job and your job happens to start having some financial issues, the first thing they start doing is laying people off. That's the first expense that they cut. And so you want to make sure that you don't find yourself in that position. Secondly, when you only have one stream of income, it really puts you at the mercy of your employer. That means that you can't increase it. What if your expenses went up 5, 10, 15%? Well, guess what? You can't go to your boss and ask for 5, 10, or 15% raise. He's more than likely going to tell you, no, get the hell out of my office. You want to make sure that you're in a position to scale and take care of your needs as you see fit. So that's the reason why I always advocate for people having a home-based business, something that allows you to generate an additional stream of income. Obviously, if you are saving some of your money to invest. And by investing, you're obviously putting yourself in a position so you can start generating some passive income, whether it be from real estate rentals, car rentals, Airbnbs, or putting your money in the stock market, or putting your money in cryptocurrency. Whatever it is, whatever you choose to do, you want to make sure that you are not reliant on just one stream of income. You want to make sure that you have some control over whether or not you're going to have monies coming into your household. One stream of income is financial malpractice. Take some time to figure out what things you can do. A lot of things, one of the things that other people noticed during the pandemic, a lot of people figured out that, hey, I'm going to have to start doing something online because travel was shut down. You couldn't really, people couldn't really congregate as much as they had been before the pandemic. So things had to shift. Amazon has shifted this whole retail consumer landscape. Walmart has also shifted as well. So we see things are clearly shifting online, and you want to make sure that you're not left behind. Number two, financial having one stream of income is financial malpractice. You want to make sure that you are building up additional streams of income. The third thing, the pandemic, third lessons I learned is the importance of getting your finances and paperwork in order. It was July of 2020. I get a phone call from my sister, and my sister is overseas in Italy. And she says, Alex, I think you need to go and check on mom. Something's not right. And so I talked to her, and so I said, okay, let me give her a call. So I called mom and talked with her, and I remember during the conversation I asked her, I said, Mom, um, do you want me to come home? And my mom immediately said yes. Now my mom had been living on her own, taking care of herself, um, her for the last 20 years, right? Last 20 years. And for my mom to say, "Yes, I would like for you to come home," that meant something was probably not right. I went home, and my mom was affected like so many people were mentally, from the worry, stress, strain, and anxiety of catching COVID. Um, and so I went home, and it was clear that she was different. It was clear that she was being negatively impacted and affected. During my time at home, I realized that for the most part, my mom had always done a pretty good job of having her accounts and her affairs in order. During that time, we went to the bank. We made sure that my name was on her bank accounts, that her beneficiaries were current and up to date, and we made sure that we found the deeds to the house, the wills, and other things that other legal documents that would be important. Again, it was during that time that I realized having your finances and your paperwork is in order. So here are some things, guys, you want to be thinking about and looking at. Your accounts, your bank accounts. You want to make sure that your bank accounts have a trusted person on your accounts. So if someone needs to access your accounts in the event you become incapacitated or you pass away, that someone has access to those funds. Because if you have bank accounts and there's no beneficiary and there's no one that who's is a joint owner on the account, well, guess what? Those accounts will be frozen, and it has to go through probate. And probate can be a rather lengthy process sometimes. So let me just very quickly say probate. Probate is when someone who has deceased or passed on, when an estate is established, and that estate allows your assets, all of your assets, and all of your creditors and liabilities to kind of be, kind of all put together and ferreted out so creditors can get paid or people who are owed monies can get paid, and the remaining assets can then pass on to the next of kin. Probate is something that happens when someone dies with a will. That will still has to go through the probate process. If someone has a trust is something that actually does not have to go through probate, and the guidelines set up within the trust, that's actually what happens and is executed by the trustee. Okay. And that does not have to go through the court process. Okay. So, in any case, you want to make sure that your accounts are set up, that your bank accounts have beneficiaries or there's a joint person on the account. If you have 401ks or retirement accounts. You want to make sure that the beneficiaries, the appropriate people, are on those accounts. I've heard plenty of stories where somebody had someone was married, a previous wife's name was still on a life insurance policy or was still on an account, and the person passed away, and the new spouse name was not on that particular document. And of course, obviously, the person who is the beneficiary would be the one who's going to receive the proceeds. So you just want to make sure that your accounts are in line. And then obviously you want to go ahead and broach the subject with your parents. I know sometimes this can be something that's really difficult to do, but you want to start having that conversation while things are still good, right? Because life comes at you fast, and you never know what may happen come in the future that really necessitates some financial decisions being made very, very quickly. So you want to talk to your parents and find out if they have what accounts they have, where are they, where's the paperwork. You want to start gathering that data and those documents. You want to make sure that you have them in a place that's safe. If that means getting a safe deposit box at the bank, please do. Or if you want to put them in some type of fireproof safe, maybe at home. In any case, start having the conversation and start pulling together those very important legal documents. If ask your parents if they have a will already set aside or a trust already set aside. If they do not, it may be worthwhile to start taking and start having that conversation, especially if you have siblings in place and other situations that can become very, very sticky in the event a parent passes away or dies. You want to also make sure that you have, in addition to a will or trust or a trust, you want to make sure that you have some kind of um, uh, POA. It's called power of attorney. You want to make sure that your parent has something in place that says, in the event that I become incapacitated, here is the person that I want to handle my affairs. You can also have one that relates to your health, right? That's called a health directive. You can have something in place. Here's the person that I want to be responsible for making decisions on my behalf as it relates to my health. It was yet another something that my sister and I had to face and had to deal with during um during the COVID situation. My mother required emergency surgery. Took her into the hospital for abdominal pains that she was having. Discovered that she needed surgery and she had COVID. And unfortunately, they told me that I had to leave. I could not actually stay there at the hospital with my mother. My sister and I, thankfully, we have a really good relationship. And so we discussed what was going on. We talked with the doctors very carefully, asked a lot of questions. So we had to make decisions about her surgery and her health care, uh, all from a distance, all from a distance. In any case, we were able to make those decisions. She is, of course, now healthy, and so we are grateful and thankful for that. But having the healthcare directive is something that is uh, is probably needed in a lot of situations where the parent not have designated someone to make those decisions about their health. Okay, and so you, as best as you can, you want to try to make sure that these are things that you take care of. So if something happens when stress is high Anxiety is high, emotions are high. You don't want to have people have the stress and the strain and sometimes the conflict that goes along with having to make decisions. As many decisions as you can possibly make for your own on your own, and you let people know what you want to happen, I think is the best approach to take. So number three, make sure that you get your finances and get all of your legal documents and paperwork in order. Check on your beneficiaries. Make sure that you have a will, trust, health directive, power of attorney. Make sure you have those things in place. Put them in a safe place. Let someone know how to access them if something happens to you. Okay. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Number four, take care of your health. That was the fourth money lesson I learned from the pandemic. People always say all the time, health is wealth, right? Or money isn't everything. But let me tell you something. When you don't have money, when you don't have the finances you need in order that you might be able to live a healthy lifestyle, that you might be able to eat better foods, where you're able to get proper rest, where you're not stressed about money issues and money problems. I don't know if you guys know this. Money anxiety is the probably the number one cause of stress and problems within a marriage, right? So if you have your money together, if you got your finances together, all things being equal, your life will probably go a little bit smoother because at least you don't have those problems to deal with. You're able to eat better. You're able to get proper rest. If you need it, you can seek proper medical attention. Those things are absolutely critical. Taking care of your physical health, taking care of your emotional health. If you need to spend time with a therapist, spend time with a therapist. Get the things that you need so you can take care of your body. You are your most important asset. It's not your money, it's you. It's not your house, it's you. You are the number one asset. You are the thing that makes everything else go. If your health goes down, if your health goes away, and you don't have the ability to generate additional income, or if you're sick, you're unhealthy, those things will affect your ability to generate wealth. So number four, take care of your health, both your physical, emotional, spiritual health. And number five, guys, make sure you get the appropriate amount of insurance. I can't say this, I can't stress this enough. You make sure that you get the appropriate amount of insurance. By the way, I am a licensed insurance advisor. Many people don't know 70%, 70% of people will, 70% of people over 55, there's a 70% chance that people over 55 will need long-term care. Long-term care. They will need to go into either an assisted living facility, um, a nursing home, or some other type of long-term care facility. Um, when it becomes during the COVID situation, um, as I said before, it became evident that my mother would not be able to live on her own. So we were fortunate enough to find a facility, assisted living facility that a really good one, and one that we thought where she uh, uh, would be safe and things would and she would be well taken care of. It was expensive. I did not know, and my sister did not know. We did not know that these things are very expensive, and so we might wonder, well, how are those things taken care of? A lot of times, people um, try to get Medicare and Medicaid. Excuse me, Medicaid. to try to take care of some of those expenses. But it's a need-based program, and each state is a little bit different. And what you find out is, in order for you to qualify, you really need to be almost destitute. You can't have really any assets. And to the degree that you do have some assets, they want you to start spending those assets down before the Medicaid begins to kick in. There's also this little sneaky thing called the 5-year look back period, which means if your parent needed to try to apply for Medicaid today, the government would look back 5 years to see what assets your parent actually owned for the past 5 years. And then they will go through this their calculation to figure out whether or not you actually qualify for Medicaid. And if you do, they will help to pay for um, if you needed to a in care nurse to come and take care of your parent, or if you needed to be in a assisted living facility or a nursing home, that's where those monies would go to pay for that. But it's often very, very difficult if you have any amount of assets. If you've been trying to do the right thing throughout your whole life, it becomes difficult to qualify for these things. Difficult to qualify, which then means that you, family member, parents, are then going to be responsible for a bill that's usually $5,000 plus, right? Every single month to make sure that your loved one is taken care of. So, getting long-term care insurance is something that may be appropriate for you. Chances are your parent is probably at an age where it may be cost prohibitive, but for yourself, if you haven't started looking at your finances, you want to obviously start looking at your insurances. You want to make sure that you make sure that you have remember, we talked about your emergency fund. That's your first line of insurance, right? But you want to make sure that you have some health care in place. If you happen to be someone who is self-employed, maybe you need to look at having some disability insurance in place if you don't have emergency savings in place. See, the whole idea behind insurance, it isn't just if you happen to die, right? It's not just about that. It's about transferring risk. Whatever the financial risks are, you want to be able to try to transfer that risk to somewhere else, to someone else, right? And for paying a little bit of money every month, you now are transferring the risk financially if something happens. Insurance on your home. If your home happens to get damaged, burns down, or becomes in any way inhabitable. Um, if you have insurance on your home, obviously your insurance is going to help you take care of the damages or help you repair the property. Same way with your cars, your vehicles. You got insurance on your phone. Why would you not have insurance on your most valuable asset, you, your life, and your financial earning ability? So, if you're self-employed, you might need to take a look at getting some disability insurance. And then next, if you have someone, a spouse or children who are dependent on your financial income, on your income to live, to maintain their standard of living, guess what? You need to have some life insurance in place. You need to make sure that at a minimum you have term life insurance. It's recommended that you have at least 10 times your annual salary. You want to make sure that you have that in a policy. If you think about it this way, um, if something happened to you and your income went away, that your family would have 10 years, basically is a simple way of looking at it. They would have 10 years of money set aside to help them maintain their standard of living since you would not be there. But in addition to that, sometimes depending on if you have a permanent life policy, that permanent life policy can be like a Swiss Army knife. It can do a lot of things for you. So if something happens to you where you don't pass away, you get sick. You get sick, hurt, or unable to work for any reason, where you become incapacitated. Guess what? That permanent life insurance policy can be tapped in order to take care of some of those long-term expenses, long-term care expenses that we talked about. So, so that might be yet another reason. Having insurance just in case you haven't started saving to make sure that you have enough money in retirement. Guess what? Your life insurance policy is there. You pay just a little bit of money up front each and every month, but it can potentially pay you tax-free income in retirement through the remainder of your life once you reach a certain age. So these are things that you certainly want to make sure that you take a look at. If you haven't had, if you do have life insurance right now and you haven't had someone do a policy review in the last 2 to 3 years, I would highly recommend that you have someone take a look at those policies to make sure that they still make sense and that they meet your financial needs. So, hey guys, those are the money lessons that I learned from the pandemic. I hope these things will help you to make sure that in the event, hopefully nothing like this will ever happen again. But if something else should happen, you want to make sure that you take these lessons to heart so you're able to weather the storm and that financially you and your family are well taken care of. That's today's episode. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment below. Send me an email at alex@alexbjones.com. I'd love to hear from you. All right. So take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.